We're in call to order. We've got, I don't know if we have anybody from the public in yet. The first part of tonight is going to be a public hearing on our budget. Correct. So I'd like to go ahead and have a call to order. We call it at 6 o'clock. If we could do a pledge and a prayer. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for all that you do for us, Father. We ask that you guide us, help us to make the right decisions, Father, that we may just be well-pleasing, and we just pray for wisdom. And we thank you, Father, in Jesus' name.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. And we'll have a quick roll call. So we have Mr. Arsenault.
Yeah.
Mr. Kesney.
Here.
Mr. Baptiste.
Here.
Ms. Hutchinson.
Here.
And I'm here as well. We have with us tonight, we got Chief Geisler, Chief Gilliard, Chief May. And we have Mr. Reese with us. We also have, as always, our business partners, PMI, and then everybody in the audience. Thank you for coming and participating with us. So tonight, by law, we are going over our proposed budget. This special session is for the residents and the business owners of St. Tammany Parish Fire District 3 to ask questions and make comments specific to the STFD 3 budget. Please keep your comments and questions specific to the budget. Those asking questions or making comments, I ask you to please state your name and address. And as of now, I'll open the floor up for any questions or comments. We'll keep that open for a short period of time, and then we'll move on with our regular business. So the floor is now open at 6:03. What do we have to do? How long?
10 minutes. Yeah.
10 minutes?
And then you usually do timer markers for the
Yeah,
page.
like
6:05 and 16.
We don't have to be in complete silence.
No.
Do you think we have any reason to concern about that other storm that's down in the Caribbean? Or that's a Cuban storm?
Said possible East Coast Yucatan and maybe South Florida problem.
Did y'all get any flooding with that rain that came through?
I went down to the end of Lake Road and just got my feet muddy. But I'd do that. East wind.
Which is what we had.
You know that bayou that runs alongside of it? They took whatever they took out of that ditch is what they used to make that road. Do you know that?
Oh, I guess,
I bet you go supervise their job.
I can supervise that, lot, yeah,
Did you?
yeah, and then too.
Do you know there's an active fault down there? Matter of fact, you can see where the effect of the fault. If you come up Lake Road and as the road comes up to the trace, that was not man-made. That's the two plates shifting. So that's the Goose Point plate and they call it the Lacombe, but it's not. It's the Baton Rouge Abita fault. It is part of a fault that runs from Texas into Mississippi somewhere.
My daughter panicked when she found out that we could just go to help on the fault.
Yes, that place is hottest place on the phone.
Exactly.
But it is hot.
Yeah,
Did you remember the earthquake?
I did.
In the late 80s.
No, we had one after we were.
We had one. Is everybody in the phone?
Must have been at work.
You think?
At that time, I was always that way.
They said that the, I-10 bridge in, to some extent, Causeway still is, but there was, because the fault moved about a quarter of an inch a year. And they said from it shifting the plates, there were spots on the I-10 bridge that were, you'd run and then you hit the bump. And that was because of everything shifting.
I thought that was just standard road construction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look at the circle here in Macomb. It's been long and on, it's all falling apart.
I think they ought to give you a pretty much slow tire realignment and windshield replacement if you're a visitor to the state.
I was sitting at my desk one day, this is a late night,
Still in.
and I used to live in California, I know an earthquake feels like, sitting there going, no, that can't be. Next day on the news, there was an earthquake. Minor, real minor. No furniture went sliding across the room, dishes didn't fall on the cabinets.
The only one I was in was the very first concert.
And be registered, huh? My daughter's house in Holland had damage from earthquakes on the back. It's still,
I don't buy
you don't buy it?
No, I'm too much of an old guy. We're at 1 minute away from a 5 minute.
it. Okay.
Bricks were real lining on the wall, cracks. Shall pay dearly for that.
Okay, folks, for the record, it's now 6:08. And we'll see what we have and at 6:13 and we'll call it a day. Keith, are you on shift?
Is that?
You working?
Yeah, I'm on the day.
Good for you. How does it feel just to come in and do that?
Use the extra money.
Doesn't look like what's happening.
I have to break that definition.
Hey.
My firefighter send it to me all the time when I tell him I'm doing construction. He texts me the definition of a diamond. Can't sit around and do nothing. It's not wired like that.
Great. We're on the Tom Petty song, never slow down, never grow old.
I can, Murphy, I don't know when since you retired, I have gotten so busy. I got new stuff going on since I left corporate world. I can't keep up with the things that I want to do.
How did you find time to work?
Hmm.
So how did you find time to work?
I know. Don't let Chevron know that. They will start asking for money back.
Watching paint dry.
Are the interstate cameras accessible by anybody, or do you need some sort of code?
There are public access on the DOTD website for certain ones. And
Are we on special access or public access?
we do have a page where we can access all of the ones on 12, but there's none in our area. So, yeah, the two that cycle in there are the closest ones in South District. Mark? Anything?
Tell us a joke. You are.
Yeah, it won't be in this session.
Right.
This is- It is in the agenda under new business. First item? Second item.
Or,
The resolution for the budget. First item on the new business.
yeah, the whole business is really just needs to be signed into the record, because the record needs to be just memorializing the act that we're done. You know, I just need a motion then. No,
They don't need a motion for that?
no. They were actually approved at the last meeting, so they're just being signed into the official record.
Right. That's good.
Your action item is to ensure that the written resolution complies with the actions taken last meeting.
On the budget?
Yeah, under old business.
Yes.
So really, it's just for the chairman to really
Oh,
review
yeah.
the written resolution. That is what was
So the
actually.
chairman and secretary signed it. They're just attesting that what is in written form matches what was verbally approved
From in October.
from the October meeting. Correct.
Technically.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the budget. No, we got to have a motion to approve.
So, yeah, new business, absolutely. That's full business.
The old business is just
This slide right here.
acknowledging simply.
Correct. And some people accuse me of saying that's overkill. Like, when the board takes action, you know, and I've always learned in 35 years, paper cures amnesia. If you can produce that piece of paper,
There is no harm in it at all.
no.
If we would only do that in other forms of business, public. Political.
Like how you calculate the value of bones.
More inventory dynamics.
How I get myself a 5% raise.
And not raise my own taxes.
I just did.
And he has 11 months of reserve. When they finally peeked under the cover, he admonishes you for having, you know, up to 3 months. He has 11 months of cash reserve.
Well, that's
Take a
like.
cushion.
All right, folks, it's 6:13 and it's been 10 minutes and we have had no public responses or comments specific to the budget. We'll ask if anyone on the board has a comment that they would like to make. I hear none. Do we have any chief from the staff? Okay. So with that said, we're going to close this special session and we will need a motion to close and adjourn the public hearing specific to the 2025 budget. So could I get a motion? Got a motion and we got a second. Any further discussion on that? See none, so let's vote. All in favor of ending it? Aye. Any opposed? I hear none, and so that is now done. Public hearing is complete. So which brings us to our regularly scheduled meeting, and we'll have a call to order at 6:14. We'll go through a quick roll call again. Mr. Arsenault?
Yeah.
Mr. Cavanagh? Here. Myself, present. Mr. Baptiste?
Here.
Ms. Hutchinson? Here. We still have the chief and the administrative staff that's here with us. And so we'll go into the first order of business, which will be our minutes, and so we'll be talking about the October 9th regular meeting minutes. I need to get a motion to approve. If we have a motion to approve, we have a second, that opens it up for any discussion concerning the minutes by the board. No one on the board has anything? Do we have anything from the administration staff? Anything from the audience? I've seen none. So we have a motion on the floor. We have a second. So all in favor of accepting the minutes, say aye. Any opposed? I hear none. Pete, do we have any full recognition?
None that are present, but I did want to recognize Jeremy Stewart. He's been a part-time employee for 1 year. We also have two new hires. Chuck Stoltz comes on board as a operator and paramedic, and we have a second employee who's considering coming full-time, Dustin Morrow, who's a part-time paramedic operator. So we're working on some of the logistics and the paperwork for him, but he's looking to possibly come on board as a new hire.
Does he currently work at another fire department or?
He's got some other employment, place of employment, but not the fire service currently. He does have past fire service experience though.
Okay, cool.
15 years.
Anything else, Chief?
No, sir.
All right, bring us to the treasurer's report, and as agreed, PMI will lead the discussion on that.
If you'll turn to page 1 of 3 of the receipts and disbursements budget report. And the budget is trending as we anticipated with the adjustments that the board made earlier in the year. And we will do a budget revision most likely in January to adjust the budget for those revisions we did, primarily with the benefits associated with the employees. Good news is, if you look at line 18, we're at 102.4% of collections, which were at $2,969,000 versus the $2,900,000. We do know that we will have additional interest. We will have the holdback that will come in, and we will also have EMS revenues that will come in. So we're expecting a very positive year for collections, for receipts, which is always good news. Nothing in the budget is out of line compared to what we had projected with the approved changes that the board did earlier this year. We will be over budget, but again, that was the plan to be expected, but that will be corrected. We will have to do a formal revision of the budget because we will be greater than 5% in expenses.
And we have up until the audit next year to do it?
Correct, until the audit's complete.
Until the audit.
Which absolutely makes no sense, but our legislative auditor allows us to do that. So again, you had your cash position in there at the end, which is $1,433,678, if you permit me to use round numbers. And then all your bank reconciliation, your check brochures in there. So again, the good news is that you're doing what you plan to do with this budget, and there's no anomalies outside of what the board's already approved. And unless there's specific questions, I mean, you're in good shape.
And the plan, I believe, is on or around, well, hopefully by the first of the year, we'll start looking at the accounts receivable information. So that's still there. I know this year, if we get it pulled off a little early, great for us, but ideally, if we could start the first of the year looking at what's being billed, what's being recovered.
Yeah, we do have a resolution tonight to cover that, and it does suggest a 90-day review by the board to make those decisions. So again, we do have a resolution that we will write off a substantial amount of debt that does not impact this budget, and maybe this is a decent segue. If you're comfortable with accounting, you know that there's a difference between a budget and a balance sheet. A balance sheet is basically your personal financial statement. Your home's on there, but your cash flow is pay on your home, not the value of your home.
Right.
So most of this is going to hit with the write-off of the old uncollectible debt from the prior billing company. It's balance sheet entries, not cash or receipts and distribution. So it doesn't affect your P&L. The only thing that hits your cash or your receipts and distributions is actual collected money on a cash basis. Everything else flows basically to the balance sheet, and it really is flowing through for the auditors so that they can properly write it off and acknowledge it. So perfect. It's a little, it's just basically some fundamental accounting principles that we have to do. Obviously, you're in the public, so you have to broadcast that, but Tim Karbowski, in preparing some of those notes, went back through 7 audits and found out where some of those audit adjustments had not occurred. So he will work with the audit firm this year to make sure all that is brought up to speed.
Perfect. All right, thank you. Ms. Hutchinson, as treasurer, do you have any comments?
No, we covered it all.
Okay, you did a good job. And credit card statements, we're on track, we're looking at them, and everything seems to be just fine. Yes?
Thank you. I didn't see them. You've
No,
been,
apologize.
yeah.
Did
I
you?
haven't seen.
I did not. get every line item.
It's hard.
All right, so, all right, so I'll, if that's something that, you want me to go ahead and do for you, I guess I
For,
can.
a month or two if you want, get a feel for it,
Okay, well,
and then I'll take it over. Yeah, that comes up with the credit card payments. That's when you get the statement.
so I'll start doing that.
Okay,
Okay.
like forever or just?
No, just. You want to do it again?
That's a long time.
Okay.
Whoever signs the check, and you've been.
Oh. Okay. All right, so we have the treasurer's report out there for us. We do have to get a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
I make a motion, please.
And we have a motion and we have a second on it. Will there be any further discussion on the treasurer's report by the board? Here, nothing. Chief, we have anything from your staff?
Yes, sir.
Anything from the audience concerning the treasurer's report? And I hear none, so all in favor of accepting the treasurer's report, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none, so that carries. So the treasurer's report has been accepted. Brings us to the chief's report.
All right, I got a few items, and then I'm gonna pass a few items on to Mike, and then Mark's got a few things to comment on as well, so. Our year-to-date calls, we're at 1,556 total year-to-date. October calls, 146 total. Mutual aid, 3 received. One was due to, we had multiple calls at one time, and then we had 2, because of maintenance issues. Med 32 and Med 31 had some, computer updates that they had to go to the dealership and have time to do. So those happened to take place when we had some calls, and so we had to turn those over to Acadian. Even with that said, 98.5% of the time we've had 2 ALS units up. So there was one 12-hour shift, to my understanding, that we only had 1 ambulance up.
So so our target was 95, right? And you hit last month
Yeah,
at 98,
that's correct. Yes, sir.
outstanding work.
Very good.
Considering you had a period of time you were down.
Yeah, yep.
That's good, very good, Mike.
Policy book, just an update on that. I'm working on revamping some of the policies in our policy book, so I hope to have that finalized fairly soon. Just some review of the things that the previous admin had put out. I want to review those policy pages, and then 2 more chapters after that we have to review and issue. So,
Do you have an
surplus,
idea when you think that might be?
I'm hoping by the end of the year, but I think that's a fair estimate. Surplus items, we talked about that before in the previous meeting. We're currently working on surplusing and trashing certain items. We've already have 1 dumpster that's gone back to the dump, and we have a new dumpster behind this building that we will be doing some surplus and disposal of items that are
And those items that you're disposing, you've already qualified them as zero value.
zero, garbage, no value at all. Yes. Yeah. If there's any question, then we're gonna go ahead and present that to y'all. But the stuff that's being trashed is.
So sofa cushions.
As you recall, it showed us that on the screen.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah. Yep, simply trash. I did want to cover some upcoming events just real quick. We're doing some stuff with the Toys for Tots, so we're collecting items at each of our stations. We have partnered with the Redemption Church on 434 to collect food items for their food pantry. So we'll be doing some stuff like that, as collecting food items. Santa parades, we are going to be visiting some of our neighborhoods with our very own Santa. And I do have some sample mappings and stuff like that if you want to check them out. But we'll be picking some neighborhoods throughout our district, and we'll be going through the neighborhoods, handing out candy to kids, and hopefully collecting some toys and some food items as well while we do those. So I think it'll be an excellent PR event for us. I've already had a couple people try the Santa costume on, so they're ready to go, and we'll be decorating Willie and making our rounds around town. So that's just a sample map. It's not finalized, but that's one neighborhood that we're looking at. And that'll be kind of the PR stuff that we put out on social media. Santa on the Bayou is coming up on December 14th. We'll be participating in that. That's put up by the rec district. They'll hand out the toys at the end of that event at the Red District Gym. We're going to participate in that. We're going to help set up the toys for them and help distribute those toys after that event. So look forward to that. And Christmas tree lighting right here in our front yard, December 1st at 5 o'clock. Well, Miss Tanisha Marshall is a resident from Lacombe, and she always donates a Christmas tree, and we put on that event. So there'll be everything from Christmas carols to cookies, Santa Claus, and in between. So we'll be participating in that event on December 1st. PIL, we're currently working on PIL. That's going to be next year. At some point, we'll get that survey, so we're trying to get ahead of that game, purchasing certain items that we know we'll need as far as equipment on our fire trucks and our tankers, reviewing training, reviewing reports, etc. So that's stuff that we're looking ahead. We're also looking in the possibility of establishing a fire prevention bureau. That is a lot of points being left on the table as far as PIL. That's everything from inspections, investigations, public relations, outreach. So if we can have a state-recognized bureau, we will not only, it's something I think we need for the department, for the public, but we'll gain points through PIL. Tomorrow, we'll be meeting at lunch with Robbie Marquette, Chief of Fire Prevention in Slidell, and he's going to hopefully give us some pointers and directions. So that's on the plans. And I know some members of the community have reached out to us regarding the bridge right here on 190 that crosses the bayou. We're working on doing some cleaning on the 20th. We'll spray down the bridge. So we're going to work on some of those final logistics. We did meet this morning on that, and we're going to
And so on that bridge, just so people's expectations are, set right, the only thing that you're gonna be able to do is get debris off the bridge. You're not gonna clear, it won't have a different color. It's not pressure washing, it's simply just pine needles and stuff will come off the bridge.
debris, a lot of pine needles, sand, dirt, stuff like that
Okay.
we've assessed already. So we're working with training. We'll finalize that so we can do it safely, efficiently. Timing is important, so there's not a lot of traffic. But we recognize that'll I'll kind of shine it up just a little bit, it'll look good.
I'll get you the contact information for, I'm gonna mess up the name, but it's the Lacombe Republican Ladies. I think is the one who actually requested that.
I don't know, but it's Lacombe Republican Women
Women, so
Organization, I believe.
we'll get it right, but I think they put in a request to one of our state senators. The state senator brought it back down to Impostata, and then Impostata brought it to us. So since they were the initiator, I'll get you information so you can let them know that it's happening. And
Yep, so next week, the 20th is our tentative date. We'll work on, like I said, those final logistics and hopefully take care of that issue. So that bridge will just be a little tiny smidgen bit prettier for our community. That's all I have on my list. I forward some more conversation to.
well, I know we're doing, you've heard us talk about strategic planning for the future. Michael has been leading some of those meetings for us.
Yeah, I didn't even mention that on my list. So yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, we're working on that. We've had meetings the last couple of Fridays. So we are working on SWOT analysis and putting that information together so we can slowly but surely game plan our next few years, our future. And that's everything from operational decisions to big purchases. So we are actively working on that.
Doing a good job, too.
I appreciate it. Let me hand it over to Assistant Chief Gilliam.
Before you go, you got a new guy at the table. Who is
Oh, I'm
that?
sorry. We'll introduce him. I was going to introduce him when we got to that point. But that's Mark May. He is ACDC something. We're calling him District Chief at this time. We are working on a formal classification through civil service. We have their questionnaires waiting for us to slowly but surely work on. But right now, we're calling him District Chief. Mark Mann, we talked about that position in previous meetings. He's taken on a lot of roles and some stuff that we're really looking forward to implementing, and a lot of that's public outreach and training. That's two things I think we lack highly, and I really think that we need to focus a lot on training. So he gets we won't call him training chief, but it's going to be a huge part of what he does, and so we look forward to working with him and making this place a little bit better.
Congratulations. Well, can we afford to get him some new brass?
We're gonna work on that.
He's got a desk, what if it's big?
Good. What else do they need?
Desk, computer, he's still slowly trying to figure out, but
Couple of pens.
we'll work on it.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Chief Mike.
Yeah, we've been working in coordination with each other, trying to, get everything going. He's been working hard and we've been getting a lot done, so that's good on him. I just want to give you an update on the outreach. This last week, as I was able to, I went and spoke to different entities. Met with school administrators, trying to streamline their fire drills. They want to be a little bit more interactive, so I'm working. I went and spoke to each principal. We're going to be in touch, kind of going, and also with their events coordinators. We're going to be working with other events, but they want to be a couple of them want to be a little bit more interactive. So we're going to partake in that. We're going to start developing the system, over the next month or two, try to come up with something that works for them and what they want. I visited Head Start. Went and talked with the administrative staff there, which were familiar with me. We're obviously going to partake a little bit. We're trying to be a little bit more interactive in the fire drills, not just show up, trying to get more hands-on with them. So starting to work on that. We're also going to be sending firemen. It's going to be an often thing where we're going to send firemen again to read children's books to the kids. They loved it. The staff is super excited. That's coming up very soon. Next week, we're going to start making that a regular part. I've already met with Coast Senior Center, spoke to the events coordinator there. We actually have a small event there tomorrow. We're doing a small presentation, testing the waters with them. And then the day afterwards, we're setting up a vital signs booth just to kind of reach out. The events coordinator is going to start emailing us their calendar, and we'll start working with them also. They're excited. I have met with the nursing home, same thing, fire drill, interactive. And their events, trying to get, because they have some events that we can partake in also with the seniors that are in the facility that we deal with a lot, to kind of shore up that relationship with them. Or show our technical college and with the administrators there too. Same concept, just repeat, rinse to all of our major players in the district and try to, incorporate a good interactions between us too. So there's been in-persons, follow-up emails, phone conversations. The relationships are all going to take a little time to develop because they're busy people too. So it'll be a little bit more meetings, and then me and Pete May will be working on implementing that. I'll hand it over to him as we meet. He's met with me on a couple of them, trying to establish those relationships. Next will be, be reaching out to the churches and other businesses too. It just takes a little time. Start reaching out to all the community, but we're working on it, and it's going to get really busy really soon as we get all this.
Like a comment. And thank you. Touch a Truck, Slidell, Noon, Lions. You guys were here, and they are very pleased, and they really want you to come back next. Yeah, the little kids, they love Lily.
Since our last meeting, we went on many events. We had many requests, and guys, I've had nothing but positive feedback from where we sent. The guy, community really helped.
Right there is some of the things that fire departments really need to be doing. You're not only emergency responders, but you're neighbors in the community, and there's all outstanding things that's taking place in the fire departments. And we're gonna need this for quite a while, so thank you folks for doing it. Thank you guys too for doing it.
I agree. You mentioned something, Tim, I don't know if you want to say it.
Yeah, a couple of weekends ago, we had a festival down at Living Word Church, and I placed a phone call to the assistant chief, and he sent a couple of guys down there to do, we had 425 people show up, which is a pretty good outreach, pretty big crowd. They did a little medical for us, because they had games and things for kids and stuff like that. We figured somebody might get a busted knee or a hand or an elbow or something, but they came out and kids interacted with them. It was very, very positive.
Appreciate that.
There's something else, we've already talked about it. It came to the Lions' attention that they didn't have a first aid station at Touch a Truck, even though it was right behind, the medical building and across the street from SNH. But the chiefs have agreed to, have, what do you call it? What is it?
Yeah, we'll send an EMT with a bag.
With a bag, yeah.
Standby.
Yeah.
Next year, well,
Yeah.
since they need that also.
Anything serious, you just call Katie and,
And look, it's been really positive. It hasn't been, well, I guess some people would think it'd be like a burden to do all this. It hasn't been. It's been actually pretty fun, and it's great that, the event's been successful. And, there's no plans. We're just starting, so it's kind of exciting on that part. It's something that I didn't get to experience in my career here because we didn't really stress it. So it's nice to be able to partake in it, and it's being real positive. It's going to be a lot of busy work coming in the next few months. It's going to be real exciting to look at our calendar and see what's going on. And the guys have been.
Please share the calendar with the board.
Yes, sir. Once that'll be in development. Maybe probably by January we'll have something kind of set, and then it'll probably more likely be posted. We'll see what Chief comes about, but we'll get that to you. Not a problem.
We meet with the Head Start or this?
Yes, sir. I already met with Head Start and spoke to the administrators there, and we're going to be doing part of the interactive fire drills with them, and we're going to be doing book readings over there. And if you think of anything else, anybody hears anything in the community that's going, I'm trying to put the word out there, and unless call volume stops us from doing it, we're going to be.
We'll get to it.
I'm sorry. That's yes, sir. I'm done.
I have a question. Do you think it'd be in the realm of possibility at some point in time to, like, say, you guys, I know you guys have some instructors here, giving community CPR classes or anything, or basic, simple first aid classes, anything like that? Do you guys have anything like that that works?
We're starting to get that to where we're on the basis of trying to do that. Me and Chief have had conversations on this. We want to get a couple of guys able to do that in the community. From that to child seats to anything we can do for the public. That is definitely going to be in the mix and happen, and it's just trying to get it all kicked off.
Awesome, wonderful.
Do you have anything else?
No, sir.
All right, so besides learning my new role, responsibility for completing the task that she was given me, touching on the community outreach, at some point started doing fire extinguisher training at the facilities with their employees, just to make sure, they know what to do, and how to do it. I've been networking with other fire department trained officers throughout the parish. In the future, I'll be attending the monthly meetings that occur, so that way we can, start the invites to include some of the parish law trainings. I've been receiving a lot of training requests on filming them. So far, I got 13 signed up for classes.
It's internal request.
Correct. Yeah. Anything from operator, officer, instructor, investigator, inspector. A few of them right now pending, waiting on two-ticket tests. So I've been scheduling out all the daily trainings for the rest of the year. Still time consuming, but I have a system that I figured out. We started off the process with PIO, with Chiefs just trying to prepare, type these things. That's about it. Just so far, pretty good.
Yeah. What did you have?
Yeah. He's doing a fine job.
Anything from the board for the admin staff? Mr. Reese, do you have anything? No. Okay. All right, so do we have anything from the audience that would like to talk about from the chief's report? Keith says no, and a thumbs up. All right, so thank you, folks.
Thank you.
So it's a good report. It's good, all good things that you folks are doing. Okay, so moving on. So next up is some old business. You're gonna notice that, these are all record-keeping, actions. These are things that have already been approved at the October meeting. We're just simply, signing them into records, it's all. So the first one is the, resolution 37, and that's the buyback allocation that was approved, and it's been signed off. You have it in the packet already. The next up is going to be the resolution 38, and that was the approved buyback for Chief Geisler,
His current official rate of pay.
as a chief.
Correct.
As chief, that's correct. Okay, and I think that's the only two housekeeping ones we had.
Correct.
Okay. Do we have any discussion or any comments on those? There are no actions of the board other than just to read them in, and they've already been signed. Okay, so brings us into new business. So, just a few minutes ago, we concluded the public hearing specific to the 2025 budget. I'll need to get a motion to approve that budget.
I'll make a motion to the budget.
Okay, do we have a second? We have a second on that, so that opens the floor to the board for any discussion on the budget. Not hearing on anything from the admin staff?
No, second.
Okay, folks, and the second chance to the audience. I got another thumbs up from Keith. So we've got a motion, we got a second, and we have no other discussion on it. So all in favor of adopting the 2025 budget, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none, so resolution 039, for the budget has been adopted. We started in on this discussion, maybe a little bit more is needed. This brings up the resolution 2024-40, and it's the approved EMS unrecoverable debt and balance sheet adjustments. And Mr. Leninsky already went on that. Is there anything else that you want to elaborate on?
Just to be clear, you're going to experience a one-time write-off that encompasses more than the last 3 years. So it will be a 3 million plus figure that we just have doing that purposely to get the books clean. But understand, it's not $3 million in 2024, it's $3 million over that look-back period. But once we make that first balance sheet adjustment, we'll have basically a clean start going forward.
And so how will we finish out 2024? We're going to do it the same way?
Yes, sir. What will happen is that we will now, going forward, post a monthly note on the receipts and disbursements that will say how much was submitted for gross billing.
That will start in 2025.
Correct. Starting
So in 2024, we're going to do the
actual receipts.
actual receipts.
Correct.
Okay, and then anything in 2023 is going to be a note. In
2025 going forward.
Okay.
So basically, you will have a note in your financial statement that does not affect the cash position of the district. It will just tell you that if you collected, say, $40,000 worth of receipts for the month of January, you may have billed $100,000 worth of billings that are still in the process of collection. The only
We'll
other,
get both numbers, I'm sorry.
we're going to get both numbers. Yeah.
Bill and then receipt.
Bill will be a footnote, receipt will be actually posted to the receipts and disbursements.
And it won't go into accounts receivable kind of a
No, ma'am.
line? So this being,
Because,
I know some of it's not collectible.
well, some of it's not collectible in working with the audit firm, Erickson Patel Report.
Mhm.
They basically have never allocated that to your cash budget before because there is such a significant write-off.
Mhm.
So it'd be like I said, a balance sheet or balance sheet entry item that the board will not have knowledge of, so they can take proactive action. But the majority of it is you're still going to write off uncollectible debt.
Right.
And for a couple of reasons. One, you have a special 10 mil levy that was passed 20 years ago that basically members of this district have kind of prepaid for those services in advance
Right.
through that 10 mil.
Medicare, Medicaid.
Medicare, Medicaid, and private insurance. So if you've ever had medical care, you know the bill that you get from the hospital is not the bill that you end up paying. So a lot of that is,
16%
Yeah.
MSF.
so some of that will happen here now, but we legally have to account for it. We are now getting the proper information from the new billing company to start that accounting process. And that will be a snapshot 1 month at a time for a fiscal calendar month, not posted on a daily basis.
And going forward, it will always be a footnote?
On what's been billed, the actual receipts will be posted to the receipts.
Okay. That,
So like this month, I think it was just under $40,000.
yeah, I think so, yeah.
So the cash receipts is recognized
Mhm.
as actual to the district. The billing is what is pending, that quite frankly, some of it will be recoverable, but some of it will not.
So we will, going forward, we're not gonna have an accounts
No,
receivable
ma'am.
for that item.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Well, it's still trackable.
Well, yes, and I appreciate that.
It's still trackable, and it gives us the ability to do away with the unrecoverable debt before it escalates to such a grand number that
Before it
it
gets booked,
is. Right, well,
Okay.
before it gets to be so grand.
and that's it.
Yeah.
And as I understand it, it's gonna be reflected on the balance sheet, just not on the transaction. Correct.
Oh, okay.
So you will have an accounting of it, it's just not gonna be on the monthly financials.
Then we're in a transition period here, I didn't know if it was gonna change once we
Your
get it all.
receipts and disbursement report is gonna look exactly like it does today in 2025.
Okay,
Because that is actual receipt and actual expenses during the fiscal year.
okay.
The balance sheet is where you accumulate
Mhm.
that other information that is reportable, but it's not seen as recognized receipts
Right,
to the district until it's actually been paid and submitted by the new billing company.
and it's gonna be classified as uncollectible, or?
Well, no, the board will meet,
You want to read the resolution, right?
well, the board will meet, recommended every 90 days to review the outstanding debt and determine what is to be written off or not.
Okay.
So instead of waiting 4 years to do this, it will be done on a 90-day basis.
The numbers won't be so big,
Yes.
thank you.
So again, I want to thank Tim Karbowski and my CPA staff at the office for doing this. This is not something Mark specializes in, so they gave me a crash course, and I had actually Tim, who does prepare your financial statement, review this resolution in advance along with your auditor to make sure.
And this is in alignment with everything with the LLA,
Yes, sir.
all that's done.
Yes, sir. I mean, this is putting a formal protocol in place for what you have been, not been able to do in the past because of lack of information. So I do recommend approval.
And then, and so to also give recognition, there's no way that I think we could have sorted this out. The new billing company, Coronas, really did some good work for us, sorting it out. So,
We didn't even know where to look for it.
No, it was beyond, I can only speak for me, it was way beyond my scope. So I'm glad they jumped on it.
And I'd also like to thank Teresa for giving me some reports and, like the, what do you call it, the asset report that we're using, the pledge, information that I never really saw before. And now the picture's getting better. For me, the treasurer, I appreciate it.
It's a new day.
It's a new day.
All right, so do we have a motion to accept the resolution?
I'll make a motion to accept resolution number 2024-040.
Second.
We have a second, so we've already had some discussion on it. Is there any discussion from the audience that they want to get into? Keith saying no, and now we've got a second thumbs up, so we're doing well with the audience. All right, so all in favor of accepting that resolution 040, say aye. Any opposed? I hear none, so the motion is passed. We're doing so, that cleans the books.
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
So once this is passed for the December, you will have that actual written off amount of that 3 million plus
Okay.
noted on the balance sheet.
I like clean.
We do.
And
Auditors like clean.
I will make a phone call to Jennifer Shea, which is the general counsel for the LLA. Let her know that it's been taken care of. She's been kind of coaching us through this, and her advice was to get it done before the first of the year. I just want to let her know that we did it.
It's good to have it done. Yes.
It does to me. All right, well, thanks, everybody. All right, so next on the agenda is a call for the fire chief's exam. We've got to select a permanent chief within the first few months of 2025, and it's a process, right? So we have to really start that process in December if we want to do it within the first couple of months of next year. So I would, I'm asking the board to approve us to start that selection process, and that be the call for the exam. And it's my understanding there's a lengthy questionnaire that's got to be completed, right?
There, I don't know for the fire chief, we don't have.
Since it's already established.
You will have one.
You will have it. So we'll find out what comes in. They give us enough time for whatever. If we get a little one or a big one, we'll be able to take care of it and be ready to do the selection of the chief early in the year.
Yeah, basically the board just needs to advise the civil service board to call for the exam.
Yep.
The starting process will be a questionnaire, which will be hundreds of questions,
Okay.
because the OSC is really trying to drive the test for this department.
Okay.
So you'll have it, so you're probably in a 60 to 90 day window just getting that done, depending on how responsive it
And the
is.
rest of it.
Technically, it's going to fall to the chief and his assistants, but it's going to have to be signed off by you. And so the chief guys is going to get a chance to sit down and answer all bunch of questions about
I
how.
have two waiting on me already.
Definitely will.
And technically what needs to happen is a communication from the board to the civil service board. The civil service board officially, they have to meet and call for the test. So there's a process.
Quite timely, so we're kind of a little bit of strategy behind this. So if we do vote for it tonight, we have a civil service board meeting next week. So if we could get somebody to draw up a letter requesting the civil service board to do that, I'll be glad to sign it.
It should have to be in the minutes, right?
Yes,
That's all you need in minutes?
yes, sir.
Well, how
So you
about
need a
that?
motion, sir?
Okay,
If you want to approve it?
I'm sorry.
This, you need a motion for it?
I do, we need a motion to approve to start the test.
I'll make a motion that we approve the call for fire chief exam.
And we have a second. So any further discussion?
Question,
from
who
the board
administers?
members? No, all right, go ahead.
Who administers the test? Is that civil service?
The state examiner's office
The
does.
OSC office. They-
There'll be a formal application period. There'll be an application they have to submit at the state examiner's office. You have the ability to layer a second set of requirements on top of that, where the generic test says if you have this as a minimum, you can sit for the exam. You may want to choose to say you have to have this as a minimum in addition to that to be truly considered an applicant for the department.
Are we talking about, local guys or owners, or we're gonna be?
Well, this will be advertised. So it would go out,
Oh, that's
whoever.
okay. Yeah, okay.
And the one thing that you will have to do with most departments that are advertising for the fire chief is to also set simple things like a benefits and salary package. So that when the advertisement goes out, if someone's looking to move here from New York City, as I like to say, they know what they're moving to look home for.
Yeah.
I don't expect that to happen.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people moving out of New York City right now, so you never know.
I know.
Go on. Okay.
I got it.
Anything else from the board? Chief, or anything from staff?
The only other technical issue is typically OSC can come back and say that provisional appointment is limited to a 60-day period. So we just
can
want
do an amendment, though, can't we?
So you just approve and enroll in the extension.
So we're not at that point yet.
We're good for right now, but at the December meeting, I'll do another extension and reappoint Chief Geisler as that provisional appointment.
Don't remember to do that. Okay.
And we'll do that every 60 days until the process is completed.
Any discussion? Yes, sir.
With regard to the assistant chief, do we want to call for assistant chief exam also?
I don't think we're required to do
That's a
that.
promotional.
Yeah, it's promotion.
He will have to sit for the test
Yeah, I think you would have to call for it.
Yeah, if you call for a test, but you don't have to advertise it because it's a promotional.
Yeah, because it's within the department, but he still has to take the test, pass the test,
That is correct.
for us to actually make it official.
Even though you may not get promoted now, it's, scores would be good for a year and a half.
Correct. I mean, technically, at this table, if it worked out perfectly, Chief Bowser would be your final selection for fire chief.
Yeah.
That now technically opens up the position for assistant chief
So we wouldn't do that until
until
we
after you
name the
select the
chief.
fire chief. Correct.
What about for Mark?
That's a completely different,
We don't have to,
That's a new position.
That's a brand new position.
you've already started that.
yes, sir.
Okay, so you're good. You're first, you're second. Okay.
And again, most of that responsibility falls on the Civil Service Board. I think the Civil Service Board just needs guidance from this board as to what's.
Yeah, you need to just instruct the civil service board to start pulling the trigger to call for testing.
Okay, so let's do that. So we've got a motion and we've got a second on it. All in favor, any opposed? So with that, Civil Service Board, you got
Got it, good.
it? All right. Okay, that was easy enough. Okay, so the next up is really just a discussion. This is in your packets. It's titled, it's got a big stamp looking thing on it, says Act number 554. It comes from House Bill number 263, part of the 2024 regular session. And essentially, this really, it is a law now, it's been signed, and it's signed into law June of this year. And it boils down to really a classified firefighter employed as a full-time paid employee shall be provided cancer screening examinations conducted by a physician. The initial exam should be conducted not less than 3 years after the start of the employment, and subsequent examinations shall be conducted during the course of employment according to a schedule, which I've provided here with everyone. While I really believe this is a good practice for the classification of firefighters, I also feel that it's a good practice for all employees of this district, to include our administration folks. And I know we have to comply with this. This is the law. And that we do start the establishment of the policies and procedures. It's good for everyone that works here. So I would want the non-firefighter classified people, whoever they may be, in whatever positions they hold, to be open for that exam as well and meet the same criteria. And so
Why does it stop at 4?
I can't answer that.
It doesn't. That's just the first 40. If you're under 40, it's once every 5 years, and then it escalates to year amounts depending on your age.
So if you go into it, it gives you the prescribed schedule. It also, on the second page, talks about the 11 specific cancers that must be screened for. So I'll give them that. So this is really, we don't really need to take an action. This is a law.
Correct.
There's nothing we have to vote on. What I would like with the chief, with the assistance of our HR business partners, is to establish the policies and procedures for compliance with this House Bill 253, Act 554. And with that, include non-firefighting employees in this as well.
And I would say this, both the State Tammany Parish Fire Chiefs Association and the Regional Fire Chiefs Association have been working with Representative Stagney to add clarity to this bill, because there is a lot of unclear parts to it. They've also been working with Ochsner Hospital to not only define a test that meets the requirement, but also to price out the testing. So the initial is in that $600 to $700 per employee range with this test. It has started at over $1,000. So I will tell you, we do have to comply with it. It is an act, but there are more unanswered questions than there are answered questions to this act. And as we find more clarity and find testing protocols and pricing, that should be part of what's adopted in the
I
final.
agree, I'm not saying do anything prematurely, but when the time is right, and we've got it completely vetted out and we understand it,
Yeah.
you know, let's get the policy in perspective.
Another question on this, is this gonna be covered by the health insurance?
It don't have to be.
Well, it's a two-stage because technically after 10 years of service in fire, it becomes an occupational disease and it's covered by workers' comp. In that first 10 years, it will be covered under the major medical benefits provided.
I'm looking at the,
And,
the impact on the department.
well, you also consider the impact, this is open for Keith Kern. So Keith Kern, he's retired from the fire department as chief Seacard. And so these testing schedules apply to them as well.
Right. Now, they're not required, but you're required to offer it to them, but they're not required to take it.
That's right, there's no requirement, you can't force a medical exam on someone,
Right.
but there's not,
And others are
but
not.
it's very clear that they are not to suffer any out-of-pocket expense.
Okay, understood.
And if it's like any other law, it's gotta be made available to them at a time and place that's convenient to the employee.
Yeah, I was just looking at the financial impact on the department.
We won't know that
Yeah.
until
It's a question on,
You'll know that the annual testing cost, you won't know the cost depending on if there's an actual diagnosis.
And do you know, from a legal perspective, the time parameter to adhere to the bill?
That's one of the big portions of this, based on the schedule, and the impact that the schedule's gonna have as to the existing employees based on the 1, 2, 3, and
Yeah.
then scheduling out the 4-year
So we
recurring.
really don't, so we know it's out there, but we really don't at this point know, as far as somebody may come back and tell us tomorrow.
You're right.
You gotta go tomorrow.
At this point, it is sort of open-ended where the employee can say, look, I have the right to have these screenings done for free, or with no cost to me,
Yeah.
which is a cost to the district at that point.
But for anyone over 50, you're required to offer it every 3 years.
That's right.
So that is your first short window, is the 3-year window.
Right.
So there is two schools of thought. One is I have up to 3 years to implement it and kind of vet this thing out. But you also have the other window of someone saying, now that the law's here, I'd like to be tested. So if someone comes forward and says, I want to be tested, that would.
I wouldn't personally say sit on it for 3 years.
No, sir.
No,
But I just think the board acknowledging it and saying to take action is sufficient.
Yeah.
And as additional clarity is brought to the table, we'll just adjust to that clarity.
and as I understand it, I believe Chief Geisler's already working on an overall plan to minimize the annual cost to the district by looking at the personnel and trying to plan out 4-year increments, so we don't have 100% of the people in year 1, 100% in year 5, you could stagger it out over through the years, based on that, and we've already spoken about that.
All right, so there is no action on it, just basically information for the board and anyone in the audience for it. Next on the agenda is the update on the top-down review, HR audit.
We are in first draft. I hope when I'm back in my office next week, to sit down laundry and look at that. Obviously, we'll get that to the board in advance, but my goal is to hopefully present that at the December board.
And that'd be great. So, just to let you folks know that we're on idle with our SWOT analysis and our strategic planning, waiting on that document. So we're on standby for that document.
Well, and I would tell you this, the document has been in some state of flux. I mean, obviously, you've had some substantial administrative changes in the last 6 months. And you also have a big process of selecting a fire chief going forward. So your report is going to reflect mostly post the retirement of past C-card and on a go-forward basis versus what was there before. So, and we're also doing some job analysis and things of that nature that I'd like to have hopefully concluded before we finish the final version of the report as well.
All right. Any questions?
And notice this, again, you asked the question last month, everybody from the department has been extremely cooperative, not only in meeting, but also in responding to the questions. So again,
I'm looking forward.
it's rare to have that type of response, and so we're very pleased with that.
Good. I'm really looking forward to getting that. Any further discussion on that? All right, so there's no action tonight, it's just informative. Brings us up to, item 6 on the agenda, which is the executive session. And, for the executive session, we will need the board, our legal counsel, our HR rep, Chief Geisler, Ms. Teresa, and on that meeting.
Mr. Chairman, it might be wise to say that you plan no action in executive committee, and there should be no action in adjournment after we.
Yeah, well, I usually catch it on the backside, but.
Do we need a motion to go into?
For the public, if they know.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so they don't have to hang around.
So it is on the agenda, I don't think we have to have a motion.
Yes, sir, you do have to have a motion.
All right, sorry. So we have a motion,
I'll make a motion that we enter executive session.
we have a second on it, all in favor? Any opposed? I hear none, so that puts us into executive session.
So we have, reporters have to be off.
All, yep.